What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next we are going to go over the top 10 Fantastic Four Silver Age keys. Which ones look like they might be a good buy right now, which ones to avoid. Stay tuned. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So if you haven't watched one of these videos that I've done before, I've done a number of iterations of this, of top 10 videos, whether that's Silver Age keys, Bronze Age keys, Copper, Amazing Spider-Man, that kind of thing. This one, we are doing Fantastic Four Silver Age keys. So the top 10, this is my opinion of them. It is not necessarily in the order of value. I have this as the order of importance. And on this video, I'm going to be going over numbers 10 through 6. And then over on the Fanalytics channel, I'm going to be doing numbers 5 through 1. And to entice you to go over and watch the second part of this video on the Fanalytics channel, I'm going to be doing a giveaway with this as well. I've actually got two books that I'm going to be giving away for this. One of them is this one right here, Action Comics number 340, first appearance of the Parasite. Cool DC Silver Age key. And then, because we were unable to get a hold of the person that won one of the prior videos, we're going to do that book again. So you have two different chances to win in this in the video on the Fanalytics channel, and that's going to be for this X-Men number 7. So to help you have a chance to win those books, the details are going to be on the Fanalytics video, but it also helps a lot if you comment on the video on my channel as well. Really makes it easier to reach out and get a hold of the person who wins, so I can get those books to you. So remember, this video, we've got two different giveaways. One of them is this X-Men number 7, and then we've got the Action Comics number 340, first Parasite. And this one's second Blob. So it's pretty cool books. I mean, the X-Men 7's pretty low grade, but still, I mean, second Blob. What do what else do you want? So what we're gonna be doing in this video is we've got those top 10 Silver Age Fantastic Four keys. Now, I found some interesting things with this, and it was a little trickier to price out the Fantastic Four books than other ones. A big part of that was that Marvel reacquired the rights to the Fantastic Four in somewhere around like 2018. And that really caused a jump in the prices of the books, so you don't have that really smooth trend line. So I had to do some modifications for how I price these books out compared to what I've done in other videos, but felt like this one was pretty interesting. It's got some interesting results. Let's get into these books. All right, so we are starting here with number 10. This is Fantastic Four, number 46, first appearance of Black Bolt. Now you can see here, I've got a number of different pieces of information that I provide on the screen. And if you haven't watched one of these before, basically I've got some CGC census data on the top there. And so I have the total number of graded books and then the total number of universal books, meaning books that have blue labels, meaning they aren't signed, they aren't restored, they aren't qualified, like a married cover or something like that. Then I have the grade. Now the grade is the most common grade for this book. The reason I use the most common grade is because that means I'm going to have more sales data, and so I'm going to have a more accurate representation of the pricing for this book. So you can see with Fantastic Four number 46, we've got 3,078 total copies on census with 2,775 universals. And with the 7.0, we've got 272 total copies with 247 universals. Then we also have some pricing information. So we've got, again, that most common grade, and we have the current price. That's what most people would call the fair market value. It's what this book is going for right now. Then we have the pre-boom annual return. And now for this one, you can see it's actually, I have a not applicable price. This book is tricky because what I've typically been doing is I've been looking at the prices from before the comic boom. So meaning 2015 to 2020, comic boom started happening kind of like late 2020, early 2021. So for most books, I can look at that time period and I can get a feel for how that book typically performs over the longer term. But with Fantastic Four number 46, we had that Inhumans show that was back in like 2014, and it messed up all the pricing for this. So you had a huge spike in price around 2014, then it fell down to a low in 2018, then started climbing up again with Marvel reacquiring the Fantastic Four and the rumors of that were going to happen with that, and then the comic boom. So prices are all over the place, so I don't have a pre-boom annual return for this book. But I do have the current estimated value, and this is just based on my experience. So to me, it looks like this book is generally returning to around where it was going in 2018. So I have the current estimated value at $200, meaning that if you bought the book at the current price, I at least think that there's a downside potential of around 20%, meaning this is kind of a risky book to buy right now. Now, it's not a really expensive book. This isn't multiple thousands of dollars, and this is a nice grade. So from that perspective, the risk isn't very high, but from the percentage downside perspective, seems kind of high. Now, I also started including the record price down on the bottom of the screen here, and you can see this book in a 7.0 during the comic boom peaked at $1,100. It is down 77% from there. It is way down, and it still feels like it could drop a little more. So just that really helps show you some of the craziness that occurred during the comic boom, some of the really extreme prices that we saw, that this book has come down 77% and could still drop a little bit more. So with that, let's move on to number 9. And we're actually staying with that Inhumans trend here. And so we've got Fantastic Four number 45. Now, this is the first appearance of the Inhumans. So you have a cameo of Black Bolt in this one, but he had his first full appearance in 46, the one that we just talked about previously. This one, quite a few more copies on census of this book. It is a little more in-demand book, it seems, than Fantastic Four 46. We've got 3,970 total copies on census with 3,501 universals. In a 4.0, which is the most common grade for this book, quite a bit different than we had for that issue 46. But in a 4.0, there are 391 total copies with 343 universals. Pricing isn't all that different, but granted, we're in a quite a bit different grade. Pricing for a 4.0 currently going for around $150. This one had a very similar chart that you looked at if you look at the pricing of this data over time. So I could not get a pre-boom annual return for this book either. So I've got it as not applicable, but I did look at where it looked like this book was trending to. And to me, it seems like this book should probably be going around $175. So it seems like this book has overcorrected. This is a very popular book. A lot of people really like this one. I would say more than issue 46. And I feel like with what's been going on with Marvel lately and just kind of like the Fantastic Four just lingering and not knowing what's going to go on with the Inhumans, this book has overcorrected, in my opinion. So with this book, at least in this grade, I think there is a upside potential of 17%. I think this book has overcorrected and has some upside potential to it. Now, very similar to issue 46, this book has corrected a lot. In a 4.0, it peaked at $431. It is down 65% from there, sitting at that $150 price point right now. All right, so now let's move on to number 8. Number 8, this was actually a book that was on my keeper list for a while. Back before my keeper list converted to all or almost all Golden Age, I had it was like a 6.0 or a 6.5 of this Fantastic Four number 12. I love this cover. I think it is a great book. This is the first crossover of the Hulk. It's the first meeting of the Hulk and the Fantastic Four, and it's the first kind of sort of battle. Issue 25 is considered like the big battle between the Hulk and the Thing, but this is the first time they fight a little bit. There are 1,993 copies on census with 1,734 universals. This is quite a bit earlier, so there are a lot less copies of this one available than of issue 45 and 46. Now, in a 4.0, there are 199 total copies with 169 universals. This book is also quite a bit more expensive than those other two books we've talked about so far. Currently, a 4.0 is going for around $950. This one, I could actually look at the returns for this prior to the comic boom. And this one was returning about 9% from 2015 to 2020. That means if we took its price in 2020, which was $825, and applied that 9% annual return year over year, this book today should be going for around $1,070. So to me, this means that at its current pricing, there's an upside potential of 13%. This book also seems like it is maybe overcorrected a little bit. Now, one thing to be cautious of is it is still trending down, so there could be a little more downside to it, but the risk feels very low on this book right now. It's a popular book, it's a great cover, and based on where this has priced historically, looks like it is a pretty good value. Now, it did have a record of $2,000 during the comic boom in a 4.0. It's down 53% from that record. Not nearly what we saw with Fantastic Four 45 or 46, but it still has corrected over 50%. All right, now on to number 7. This is a pretty major Silver Age key. This is Fantastic Four number 4, the first Silver Age appearance of Submariner. His actual first appearance all the way back in the Golden Age, over 20 years prior to this book. Now, this one also has the most common grade as a 4.0. On census, there are a total of 1,851 copies with 1,494 universals. At a 4.0, there are 180 with 152 universals. Now, in a 4.0, this is a very expensive book right now. Even with the corrections that have happened, this is still a $2,100 book in a 4.0. Now, prior to the comic boom, I had to do this actually with quite a few of these books. What I did was I had to price it from 2012 to 2017. Talked about that earlier. The reason is because in around 2018, these books, Fantastic Four books, all had a big spike when Marvel reacquired the rights to the properties, or was rumored that they were going to be reacquiring the Fantastic Four. So prior to that, this had an annual return of 10%. So you can see I've got 2 different estimated values here and 2 different upside and downside potentials. And you'll see this across a lot of the books that I'm going to talk about in this video and on the Fanalytics channel. Now, it makes it very questionable on if you should be buying these Fantastic Four keys right now, because you've got a huge range here. So I'll explain why I have that big range. The reason is that if I look at what this book was doing in 2017, this was an $800 book. If I apply that 10% growth rate from 2017 for 6 years until now, this is approximately a $1,400 book today. But with the big jump that these books experienced when Marvel reacquired the Fantastic Four, it effectively rebaselined for a few years. And it appeared that this book was around a $1,900 book in 2020 before the comic boom. So if you apply that 10% growth to that $1,900 price, you are now at a $2,525 book. So it gives you a very different picture on where you think that baseline value for these books sits. So you've got $1,400 to $2,525 on the price, and that means a downside potential of 33% up to an upside potential of 20%. Now, me personally, I think it's probably somewhere in the middle there. I think there is still potentially some downside risk to this book, especially with how Submariner was received in the MCU. A lot of people didn't really care for the characterization and the like the tiny little wings that were flapping on his feet. So I mean, that type of thing, it does potentially hurt the values of these books. So I would be cautious with this book right now. I think that there is just a potential of some downside risk with it. So I'd be careful with Fantastic Four number 4. All right, so now for the last book in this video, and then we're going to jump over to the Fanalytics channel for the top 5. We have got another major key. We've got Fantastic Four number 2. This book has a couple claims to fame. One of them is that it is the final Silver Age Marvel Hero 10-cent book. After this, they jump up to 12 cents. We've also got the first appearance of the Skrulls, so a major first appearance. They're on the cover, and the second appearance of the Fantastic Four. Now, this book, we're getting even less common. I mean, this is pretty early Silver Age Marvel Hero. And so we've got 1,553 total copies on census with 1,270 universals. Most common grade is a 4.0 with 171 total and 144 universals. In a 4.0, this book is currently going for $1,650. Again, I had to use the 2012 to 2017 pricing for it, and it had an average annual return of approximately 5%. Again, with this book, we had to look at the pricing before that rebaselining that occurred around 2018 and after. And so if we look at the price in 2017, it was going for $825. We apply that 5% growth rate. It is currently sitting at around $1,105. But if you look at the rebaseline price in 2020, that was around $1,600. We apply that 5% growth rate. That moves it up to $1,850. So downside risk, 33%, upside risk, 12%. I think this is a great book. I think this book has probably overcorrected a little bit. Just people's reaction to the Skrulls and the Nick Fury show and that kind of thing. Because I mean, it's the second appearance of the Fantastic Four, first appearance of some pretty great villains in the kind of the Marvel universe. You've also got just, I think, a great cover on this book. You've got the yellow cover, which is kind of like a Golden Age type cover, not something you see too often in the Silver Age. So to me, I think this book is relatively safe to buy, but you still want to, just put it on that watch list, in my opinion, because it's just one of those things where you've still got some downside risk to it, but it's Fantastic Four #2. I feel like the downside risk at this point is relatively limited. So if you really wanted to get it and you saw something for a good price, I probably wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, when we look at those record prices, hit a record of $3,419. It is down 52% from there. So another book that is corrected over 50% from its highs. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, all that kind of stuff. Then go over to the Fanalytics channel so that you have a chance to win one of these 2 books. Remember, comment here as well on this channel. It really helps in reaching out so that we can get, those giveaways to the person that wins. So again, if you want to see more videos like this, got more videos over here, got the subscription button right here, and I will see you over on the Fanalytics channel.